The Rambam was such a sadran. He took all the Gemaras and he put everything in order. He made a whole system, and he made 14 svarim. We call it by the nickname Yarach HaZaka. The real name is Mishnah Torah. The Rambam writes in the Hagdama, all you have to do is read Tanakh, read my book, and you know all there is to know. That's all you have to. You don't have to read any Gemaras anymore. Just read his book, you know everything. That's why he called it Mishnah Torah. Read the Tanakh and my Sefer, you know all there is to know. So the Rambam has a fantastic system. It has all the Yud Dalet Svarim. And everything is Mesudadik. Like 99% of the Rambam is so Mesudadik. In the Mishnah Torah, it's unbelievable. If you want to find the din, if you don't know where the din is, you want to find it, you look in the Shulchan Aruch, it's hard to find. The Shulchan Aruch is not too Mesudadik. Sefer HaMitzvah was written in Arabic, and the Sefer HaMitzvah is the introduction to the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam. The Mishnah Torah of the Rambam was written in Hebrew. The Rambam wrote in Arabic, and he wrote in Hebrew, and he wrote in Aramaic. There's a Pirush haRambam on Masechah Shabbos that's written in Aramaic. It was discovered in manuscript about 80 years ago, 70, 80 years ago, or so, and it was printed in Eretz Yisrael at the time. So even though the Mishnah Torah is written in Mishnaic Hebrew, and the Sefer HaMitzvah is the introduction to the Mishnah Torah, the Sefer HaMitzvah was written in Arabic, and we use a translation. Translation here and there is faulty. So in recent years we have better translations. You have Rabbi Kapach, who just passed away a few years ago, was an expert on the Rambam, and he put out his own translation of Sefer HaMitzvah. Rabbi Kapach did a whole new translation, the whole thing Mechadish, because it's not a good style of Hebrew. It's choppy. The Hebrew style, the Hebrew translation is a choppy style. Why is it Sefer HaMitzvah the introduction to the Mishnah Torah? Because the Mishnah Torah is Limud Kol Torah Kula. The Rambam says in the introduction to the Mishnah Torah, we call it the Yarach HaZaka. We don't call it Mishnah Torah. The Rambam calls it Mishnah Torah. He says all you have to do is study through the Tanakh and read my book Mishnah Torah, and you know all there is to know. So that's quite a statement. So Klal Yisrael didn't like that. The Rambam didn't mean that we should stop learning Gemara. If you don't really study the Gemara, you won't understand the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam. But the Rambam felt that he included everything from the Gemara in his Mishnah Torah. So the Rambam explains what does it mean to learn Torah. People think to learn Torah means to be able to ask a murderer's kasha, or to give a gewaldige teretz on Rabbi Kiveger's kasha, who was printed on the side of the Gemara. That's the icing on top of the cake. That's at the dessert at the end of the meal. What's the main meat and potatoes of learning Torah? What's the main aspect of Limud Torah? To know all of the 613 mitzvahs and all the details. That's what the mitzvah of Limud Torah is. U'lemadtem osam u'shmartem la'asosam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands us all the 613 mitzvahs. He says, u'lemadtem osam, you should learn all the mitzvahs. So the Rambam gives you a listing, Sefer HaMitzvahs, he gives you a brief paragraph. Once in a while it's a little longer than a brief paragraph. He gives you a paragraph about every mitzvah. And then he writes the whole Mishnah Torah. He writes one section, let's say Hilchos Shabbos. So he's going to say, how many mitzvahs is he going to cover in that section? Here. Hilchos Yiseri HaTorah. The Rambam starts. There are 10 mitzvahs that are going to be included in Hilchos Yiseri HaTorah. Then he has Hilchos Deis. Every section in the Rambam begins with a listing here. He says, this section is going to have 11 mitzvahs, and he lists off in the beginning which 11 mitzvahs, then he spells out. He writes all the chapters. Hilchos Avodah Zarah in the Rambam. He says, this section has 51 mitzvahs. And then he lists them all off briefly, just a half a line each one, and then he gives you all the details of all of those mitzvahs. Then at the end, when you finish the whole Mishnah Torah, so he says, now you know Kol HaTorah Kula. Because to learn Kol HaTorah Kula means to know which are the 613 mitzvahs, and what are all the details of the mitzvahs. So originally, it made sense that the Sefer HaMitzvahs was always printed together with the Mishnah Torah. Because it's the introduction to the Mishnah Torah. Mishnah Torah is in order to explain which are the 613 mitzvahs, which are all the details. Then, when they started printing Sefer HaMitzvahs with all of these commentaries, the Ramban has Hasogas on the Sefer HaMitzvahs. And then to defend the Rambam, so the printers found a few manuscripts. So they got the Megillas Esther, which was written by a man. His mother passed away before he went to print, So he wanted to memorialize his mother, so he calls it Megillas Esther. That's what he writes in the introduction. Who wrote the Megillas Esther? Rabbi Yitzchak Deliar. Okay, to tell you on the first page. So they printed Megillas Esther, Maganisa Tov, Alev Sameach, Kina Sofrim. They have all these commentaries. So it's such a big thing. So the printers wanted to make money, so they sold this separately. They sold the Sefer Mitzvah separately, and they sold the Mishnah Torah separately. So they could charge you for two Mishnah Torah is one set, you pay for that, then you got to pay separately for this. So because it was sold separately for many years, the people stopped reading. Everybody bought the Rambam, Mishnah Torah. They didn't bother buying the Sefer Mitzvahs. So the Chasam Sofer, who lived in the early 1800s, the Chasam Sofer was the son-in-law of Rebbe Akiva Eger. So the Chasam Sofer complains about this, that it's the fault of the printers that they printed it separately, that the Talmid Chachamim don't bother to study Sefer Mitzvahs, they just study the Mishnah Torah, the haRambam, and he says it's not right because there are certain ideas in the Rambam that only appear in the Sefer Mitzvahs, and if you don't know the Sefer Mitzvahs, a lot of times you won't understand what the Rambam is writing in the Mishnah Torah. He assumes that you read everything in order.